This game contains content that might not be suitable for most audiences. Viewers' discretion is advised. There is no light in this city. A dull red moon is all that illuminates our eternal night. Even the lanterns are obscured by countless moths. People trace the same paths every day, seemingly possessed by no spirit at all, simply droning on. Some days it feels like I'm the only one who's alive, but everyone else is merely a ghost. It wasn't always like that. Long ago, the city shone as a beacon to all those who believe in the one Lord, until the Red Plague fell upon us and our great cathedral was abandoned by those who proclaimed they could save us. They took the light with them when they left. They couldn't take everything from us. I, for one, have done my best to find hope in small things, like my meeting with him. There is no light in this city, but he is the sun. I don't know who he is, but I saw him one day ambling through the town square. His garments were impeccably tailored, and his hair framed his face in a way I had only seen in paintings. And those fine threads, if he had stopped by my workshop, I would have surely remembered. Of course, I had seen attractive men in my life, but there is simply something different about him, and that glint in his eyes. As I examined him, his eyes met mine, and a radiant smile came over his features. The light behind his eyes shone so dazzlingly. I hadn't seen everyone in the city look like that in years. Are we just not gonna talk about the fact that he's got fangs? But then I remembered that look is directed at me. Excuse me! I rushed past him, embarrassed by the blush slowly rising to my cheeks. In the days that followed, I passed by the town square as often as I could afford myself the time to, hoping to catch a glimmer of him again. I had to confirm for myself that he was not an illusion. More than that, I had to confirm that the light I had found in his eyes was more than just a fluke. The longer I went on without seeing him, the more I became convinced that I made it all up. That he was no different from the others, that I was desperate for anything that could change the monotony of my dull days. But he was there again, and that same expression is unmistakably real. He's looking at me with those eyes that make me forget about this dreary place, that send me far away. Ever since then, I couldn't get him out of my head, or so, I couldn't let go. At first, I was content, glancing at him every now and then, a gentle reminder that not all is dark and not all hope is lost. But the more I gave in to thinking about him, the less I could accept the daily routine that I'd been shoving down my own throat and pretending I was content with. What I was saying is, I grew greedy. I'd been looking for an escape this entire time, not knowing how to find one. I could leave, but where to? Nothing but death awaits those who venture outside the city walls. The only solace available to me might be the arms of another, but I've never found anyone fit to hold me. Still, things are different now. I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. That's why today, I'll change my fate. I swallow hard, trying to calm my quaking heart and nervous breathing. He's mesmerizing. Hello! Good day. Can I help you? I don't believe we've met. Of course. Why would he remember me? The words I so carefully rehearsed failed to spill from my lips. I've seen you around, in the town square? Oh no, this is not going anywhere. Oh, I recall now. I'm sorry I didn't recognize you earlier. I don't receive guests too often. Please, come in. Why don't you join me for some tea? It's something of a hobby of mine, growing plants and combining them into interesting flavor combinations. Unfortunately, I'm rather strapped for taste testers, so I'm unsure if they're any good. My face flushes. He's being so kind to me, but why? I'm no more than a stranger plucked from the streets. Perhaps. Could it be he sees the same light in my eyes that I see in his? A gentle warmth spreads throughout me, and I finally find it in me to meet his gaze. That sounds lovely. I must admit, I'm no connoisseur of tea, but I do enjoy a cup every now and then. With plenty of milk, preferably. Yeah, maybe that's faux pas to a true tea enthusiast. No such thing. Some teas are better with milk, and some without. There is plenty of time to get you acquainted. But please, it's quite chilly outside. Do come in, I insist. I nod in agreement and cannot help my smile from growing wider. It seems that whosoever is daring truly does come out victorious. As I enter through the doorframe, I glance up at him, and I can't help but notice those teeth look awfully sharp. The mansion's interior is reminiscent of an antique shop, one that does not get customers all too often. There's an eeriness to the way it looks almost abandoned, half hidden behind cobwebs and dust, but the familiar smell of old books wafting over me is enough to put me at ease. As I follow him through the hallway, I look around and wonder. The walls are lined with portraits of women. All of them look different, but they bear a chilling resemblance to one another. Some of them look expressionless, others sad or even anguished. Not one of them wears a smile. But most unsettling of all, they remind me so very much of me. I'll ask about the portraits, why not? But lovely portraits. The artistry is apparent. I must say, they look so sullen. But I ask the story of these paintings. He turns around slowly and purses his lips, as though he's unsure how to respond. After a drawn-out silence, I start. I'm sorry if I pried into something I shouldn't have. His eyes soften. No, don't worry. It's another hobby of mine, though I fear I'm not very good at it. After all this time painting the same subject, I've at least managed a modicum of skill in portraiture. So they're all portraits of the same woman. Then what love he must have had for her. I felt a pang of jealousy within my gut as I picture him gazing at her intently, working to capture her likeness stroke by stroke. Do you like them? He stares longingly at the paintings, then admiring them. They're beautiful, truly. I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. However, if you wouldn't mind me asking, who is she? He chuckles, turning his gaze towards me. You're just the same as always. What? Can't you see? They're you. Each and every one of them. My beautiful pale one, shining like the moon in the night sky. How I would have loved to capture your smile. Ah, I can feel it. You feel it too, don't you? Yes, this time, it's different. Wait, what do you mean this time? Wait, hold up. Okay, either A, he's been stalking me this whole time, or B, like, this is like some timey-wimey shenanigans, and I'm all for both, honestly. It could be both, and if it's both, that would be absolutely amazing. But anyway, enough of destroying the absolute beauty of this story. Let's get back to it. The miracle I've been waiting for. You're drawn to me this time. You've never looked at me like that. Scarlet eyes sparkling, that face. No pain, no fear. It makes me happy. I'll play along. Conflicting emotions slosh around the pit of my stomach, causing me to fall silent. I don't know how these paintings could possibly be of me, but how could I not feel flattered by such words? Our meeting in the town square must have made quite an impact on him after all. It seems he was simply afraid of overwhelming me. He's odd, but perhaps it's precisely that which has me charmed. I can't deny that the connection I feel towards him seems like something more than a whim. Something is set alight in the air between us when our eyes meet, something that has always been there in my dreams, just out of reach. But he's here now, and he's real, and he feels it too. Who am I to scoff at that, when I am the only one who could possibly understand? You would compare me to the moon. It's embarrassing to admit, but ever since I first laid eyes on you in the town square, you have been like the sun to me. You shine in these dreary days of dullness, reminding me of what good remains in this world. I bashfully squint my eyes shut, and will myself to turn invisible. I can't believe I just said that out loud. If only you knew, my dear, pale one. My sun is one that can only shine as long as the moon receives its light. I'd have expected a mansion of this size to have servants sweeping the floors or conversing in hushed whispers as they pass through the hallways. However, I don't see a single soul as he guides me to the drawing room. Our only accompaniment, the echoed sounds of our footsteps. The more I see of his residence, the more I'm reminded of a ruin, a tomb where some nobleman lies buried beneath piles of luxuries he no longer has use for. A deep sense of loneliness seeps out of every wall, threatening to suffocate me. I wonder how he feels, wandering through these halls all alone. Here we are. Please, have a seat. I'll be right back. He gestures at a worn down but clearly well-made sofa before disappearing behind the door. I sit down and look around the room to pass the time. It's beautiful, but looks somewhat disheveled. The candle stand crooked in the candlestick, and a thin layer of dust covers most surfaces in the room, further exemplifying its apparent disuse. He steps back inside, the silver tray held delicately in hand. I hope I didn't keep you waiting for too long. Not at all. He swiftly placed down 2 elegant teacups on the table, their aromatic steam breathing life into the stillness of this room. The sight of the lace doilies' pristine white color makes a slight worry creep up my back. I must not spill the tea. Steadying my hand, I lift the teacup to bring it to my lips. The tea ripples as I blow on it gently. Of course, it is much too hot to drink. This was merely a practice run. Perhaps a few minutes of conversation should have it ready. I take it you do not make much use of the drawing room. He lowers his cup and nods. I suppose it was obvious. The majority of my time is spent in my atelier or in my study where I wish to read. As you can likely tell by now, this place is far too spacious for me alone. Still, as long as I live in this dreaded city, I can't bring myself to abandon my family home, even if little remains of those who once called it so. Perhaps, especially so because of that. I fall silent for a moment, unsure of how to respond. Should I distract him from the dreary topic by delving into our shared interest in reading? It doesn't feel right skirting around his tragedy merely because it is unpleasant. Was it the Red Plague? His sister and I lost our parents and baby brother. It must be hard not having anyone. I did not mean to make you pity me. Death might be a consolation compared to wandering around the ghosts of the city. I do hope your family is at peace. Apologies, I did not mean to dampen the mood. Now, enough of that. Tell me, to what do I owe the pleasure of your visit? Oh no, I can't avoid it any longer. I came here for a reason, but would it be absurd to lay it on the table like this so soon? Then again, with the things he said before, it feels as though he already knows my heart. Is there any point in hiding it anymore? I will confess my love! Why not? Perhaps against my better judgment, I muster up the courage to get the words out of my mouth. I'm about to say something insolent and brash. Will you forgive me? You can say anything to me, and I'll accept it. My forgiveness is always irrevocably yours. Something about the kind look in his eyes and the candor in his words gives me pause. I do not deserve this warmth. The reason I came here today is because I cannot forget about you. I simply cannot let you go. Ever since the eternal night fell, everyone in the city has been lost. They aren't alive. They're only puppets acting out some play long after the audience has left. I was lost, but when I looked into your eyes for the first time, I felt found. You aren't like them. You are the only person in the world who feels real. I know this sounds like insanity, and you are free to send me away. I have seen the way you look at me. If it is as I suspect, this feeling is something you recognize, then please, let me stay by your side. My heart pounds against my chest. I feel relieved to finally speak aloud the feelings I held inside, no matter what comes next. I cannot believe it. Joy, elation words fall short of describing the feeling that stirred inside me. I was right this time. Finally, you've come to your senses and have come to see that you belong to me. He holds his hand out to me. It doesn't matter that I do not understand why. None of this matters. Only he and I exist, and that is the truth. Briefly, I think back to my home, to my workshop, where I make the same dreamless ropes day after day until my hands can remember the steps better than I remember the faces of my parents. To my sister, try as she may to suppress it, holds the quiet resentment in her gaze as she looks at me. Why was I the one who lived, and not my precious brother? And now, I can leave it all behind. None of those ties have to bind me, as long as I have another thread to hold on to. I'll take his hand. This eternal night exists because we cannot fulfill our roles without one another. You understand, don't you? Your purity is mine, and mine alone to corrupt. Corrupt me then. I won't protest. I'll make sure to savor it slowly. I think he might be dangerous. This might be entirely warped, a choice born out of desperate. Did you just call me out? Did the game just call me out for being desperate for like some yandere? I'm sorry. But right now, that thought doesn't reach my heart. All of this makes sense. No, it has to make sense. If it doesn't, the red moon has hollowed us all out, and I don't know how much longer I would have taken it before I would have ended up like them. It's better to go out in a blaze than to be grounded to a dust. He moves over and brushes his fingers against me softly, running them first along my cheeks, then over my lips and down my neck. Every touch sends a spark that alleviates my loneliness just a little more. Bit by bit, he caresses every inch of my exposed skin, making me tremble. His breath tickles my ears as he whispers, "I want to rip you open. If only I could live inside you." Don't worry. I'll make sure no harm befalls you, my beloved. I press my lips against his shakily, but my hesitance finds no reply in him as he pulls me in. His mouth moves against mine insatiably, seeming to carry the weight of a lifetime of yearning. It's nothing I've ever felt before. I melt into his rhythm with a sigh, wrapping my arms around him as I lose faith in my ability to support my own body. Then he parts from me and takes my face in his hands. A smile spreads across his face as he presses his forehead against mine. I have seen you in so many forms, yet this one is new. Even the scent of the blood in your veins has become sweeter. Everyone has forgotten the hundreds upon thousands of times this night has repeated. Even you. I am the only one who remembers all of you. That is why I am the only one who can have you. You're mine. I am yours. He runs his tongue along my neck. I feel his fangs graze against my skin and hold back a gasp. So it's true. It's not that I've never heard of them before. Those cursed to walk between life and death. I suppose I had thought of them more of a tale to scare misbehaving children. Maybe I should have known when I saw his grin. He's a vampire. If you offer me your blood, the eternal night will come to a final end. Our curse will be dissolved. You will be free. Go on, do it. But freedom can be a terrifying thing. I'll have you, won't I? Unable to stay away from him now that I've had a taste, I kiss him again. A quiet peace falls over us as we desperately try to fill the gaps between our physical forms. My dearest pale one. His fangs brush against my neck once more, but they ask to sink deeper this time. Taking a deep breath, I give a small nod. He breaks my skin and I shut my eyes tightly. It burns white hot, but the pain isn't unpleasant. Absolutely delicious. I feel him softly chuckle against me. Tastes better without resistance after all. He desperately drains me, to the point where I start to feel lightheaded and loosen my grip. I tug at his back, and he pauses to look down at me. My weakened body collapses onto his as the world stirs. Through closed eyes, I can feel it, an unfamiliar sensation. Warm, thin strokes of light filter through the window. Ah! I open my eyes in shock and cling onto him, lacking the strength to lift my arms. It seems my curse does not end here. What? No! Wait! He slowly raises a limp hand towards me. My moon. He hacks and coughs, with features scrunch in anguish as flames clutch at his back. The first sight of dawn is no sweet relief to a creature of the night. How could he not have known? Or did he know? They would detect the faintest trace of a smile amidst all the pain, or is it merely a trick of the light? The crackling noise makes me wince as a horrible stench emerges from his charred and twisted skin. Smoke climbs through my nose and mouth, suffocating me slowly. I can no longer tell if my tears are from pain or the tragedy of this outcome. Can my body quell these flames, or will they simply spread and consume me? Is there anything I can do? Don't go! You can't! No! Please! You can't leave me behind! What am I supposed to do without you? But he has no mouth to respond to me with. Before me lies nothing but a pile of ash. Ending 3. Unfit to meet the light of day. This time I'm gonna see what happens if we ask about him instead. I'm definitely sure this will lead to another ending. Despite feeling confident earlier, I have lost my nerve. Thinking about how I compared him to the sun makes me feel like an imbecile. Oh, how I would love to confess, but I cannot do it yet. Why did he have to ask me so forthrightly? I looked into his captivating amber eyes and took a sip of my tea. I can't bear to lie to him. All I can do is avoid his inquiry by subtly changing the subject. Where are my manners? I haven't even introduced myself yet. My name is... Shh. Before I realize it, he's put his fingers to my lips. My first touch, I can't suppress the faintest flutter of my heart. The chill of his cold skin lingers on my lips even when he moves his hand away. It's not important. Not yet. I'll get to know you in many ways, and this one will be the last. I knew that there was something more to him from the first moment I saw him. My fascination with him is only heightened by these mysterious digressions. Very well, I'll oblige you. In return, will you tell me your name? Virgilius. Virgilius de Lanceroy. Virgilius, it is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. He sheepishly nods his head. I let his name swish around the inside of my mouth like wine. It's pleasant. Have you been living in the city for long? Oh, so very long. Longer than I can even bother to remember. Tell me, have you ever tried to leave? Me? Leave? Where to? I mean, based on what I've heard, the journey past these city walls spells certain death for someone like me. I have tried. It's not the journey that's impossible. It's the very act of stepping outside the city's walls. Some dark force wraps itself around me, enough to make me stagger and suffer, but never enough to kill. So, like you, I have been stuck here, wanting nothing more than to leave, yet not knowing how. My eyes widen with curiosity. I've never heard of anyone who has tried to leave this place. We all resign ourselves to a hopeless fate and do nothing but pray to the one Lord that will change things, but they never do. Everything only falls into further disrepair. Yet still, I cannot shake that small grain of hope that embeds itself in my heart. I want to know what he has found. I lift my cup to take another sip of my tea. I feel myself growing hazy and my attention slips. I do hope the tea was to your liking. Muffled screams startle me awake, and I desperately attempt to jolt up when I am met with a searing ache that grips my entire body. I can't see anything. A cold sweat runs down my back, and my breath hitches in my throat. My head swirls with questions as my situation sinks in. What happened? Where is he? How could he have done this to me? I try to sit up more slowly this time. Only then do I sense the presence of a tightly yanked chain around my ankle. It allows for minimal movement, keeping me tethered to this wretched place. My eyes adjust as I feel the way around the room, hands moving against the peeling wallpaper, gripping on fabric and accidentally knocking against wood. It's no dark, dank attic. It appears to be a well-maintained guest bedroom, or perhaps it used to be someone else's. A melancholic thought. You're finally awake. You got a little something dripping down your mouth there, fam. I gasp involuntarily at the sight of him. Don't be afraid, dear pale one. I would never hurt you. The sound of muffled screams filled the air once more, and I recoil. What are those sounds? Whose blood is that? He wipes the blood from his face and licks his finger in a smooth, practiced gesture as he draws closer to me. Up close and under dim lighting, I notice an almost otherworldly glow in his golden eyes. The faint scent wafting off of him is nostalgic and somehow intoxicating. It's making my head spin. You must have heard the tales. Perhaps you dismissed them all as nonsense, but the Red Plague isn't always fatal. Those of us fortunate enough to survive it are changed forever. It is blood and blood alone that sustains us. You're a vampire. My breath gets more erratic as his face inches closer. Do I frighten you? I avert my eyes and look at the floor. I want to say that he does. Of course he does. Yet despite that, something inside of me still finds him beautiful. As I ponder my response, my eyes hover over to the chain around my ankle. Could my judgment be clouded by his golden eyes and silver tongue? I yank on the chain and muster the courage to look at him. Remove this chain immediately! Of course. If you promise to stay by my side, then I will be more than happy to do so. Of course, there's no way I can promise that. I know. I cannot ask that of you. That's precisely why the chain is necessary. Though it is charming that you even think to deceive me. He softly pats my head, and I instinctively backed away from his touch. Apologies. I didn't mean to condescend. Please, pretend it didn't occur. Why did you do this to me? I suppose by now there's nothing left but to be direct about my intentions. Dearest Pale One, won't you grant me some of your blood? I refuse. He wants my blood? Absolutely not. Who knows what will happen to me? I'd even contract the red plague myself. There has to be a way out of here. If I contemplate the means of my escape, he takes my silence as my answer and sighs. Just, please, consider it. For the both of us. I'll leave you be for now. Besides, I need to finish what I started. Finish what he started? It wouldn't hurt me, would you? I'm sorry that it's come to this, chaining you to this room, but I promise I will never treat you badly. I need you. Please, make yourself at home. The room is yours to do as you please. As he starts to walk away again, I follow him for as far as my chains allow. Why am I doing this? Why do I yearn from him? I thought I was scared, but I don't know what to think anymore. Logic seeps through my fingers as my heart bounds after him. Standing in the doorframe, he turns around. For you to approach me this time. The fates have aligned, I'm sure, and for that, I am grateful. Thank you, my dear Pale One. Suffocating loneliness envelops the dreary room once more. I make my way back to the meticulously made bed and slump down. Could I have known this would happen? What am I going to do? What can I do? The screams I heard in the distance grow louder and louder, until they eventually stop, leaving in their wake a deafening silence more oppressive than their noise ever was. Good morning, dear Pale One. Will you offer me your blood today? I refuse. Very well. I will see you again tomorrow. Good morning, my dear Pale One. I hope you slept well. Will you offer me your blood today? I refuse! Tomorrow waits us then. The days pass by quietly. As promised, he does not treat me badly. There is food to eat, and he even brings me books to read. Every day, like clockwork, he asks me for my blood, and every day I refuse. We have amicable conversations some days, but I no longer care to learn anything about him. How wrong was I to assume so many things about him from seeing his smiling face in the crowd? All I want is to leave this place. That empty life I wanted to escape has become my dearest dream. I wonder if my sister misses me. Must be hard running the workshop all by herself. I even missed the mending of the same workman's clothes. Who would have ever imagined that? If only I had told someone about my plan to meet him, then maybe I wouldn't have ended up in this situation. Have you finished your breakfast? I have. It was delicious. Thank you so much. I've slowly created my cordial facade. I think I'm pretty convincing. I'm glad to hear that. Now, you know what I will ask, don't you? Although I've enjoyed our peaceful days, I'm not sure how much longer I can endure. What do you mean? Your blood, Pale One. I am ravenous, and your innocent smile only beckons me closer. Let me in, won't you? I'll make sure it won't hurt. In fact, I think it might make you feel good. Will it really? As I stare at him with an unsure expression, he slowly inches towards me. These are the circumstances I've been waiting for. This is my only chance. I know where he keeps the key. I've seen it. He pulls me into his arms, and I no longer resist. Calm down. Breathe. Wait till the very last moment. I shake my sleeve and catch the breakfast knife in my hand, and without hesitation, I drive it into his neck. His eyes turn wide, and he parts his lips in shock. Then he looks at me with downcast eyes and frowns. So this is how it will end this time. His grip on me loosens as I push him off of me. He falls with a thud, blood pouring from his mouth. I've done it. I look at the blood on my hands. The splatters across my chest. I killed him. It all went by too fast. I feel sick. I hold on to a nearby bedpost to hold myself up. I killed him. My heart is beating in my eardrums. I cannot believe it worked. I expected more resistance, but it seems he's resigned to his fate. Somehow, I choke up, struggling to breathe. No, why am I feeling this pity? He's chained me here against my will. He deserves no pity. I have to get out. I cannot breathe in here. With trembling hands, I scramble for the key in his breast pocket and storm out of his mansion without turning back. As I go to sleep that night, I dream of him. There he is, staring at me with desolate eyes, not saying a word. He doesn't have to. My guilt festers under his watchful gaze all the same. For nights after that, I can't escape his haunting face. I wake up in a cold sweat, wondering if I had done the right thing. Other nights, when the fates were kind, I dream of being in his arms. We discuss a book I recently read of what we should have for lunch tomorrow. As I wake up from dreams of what could have been, I find tears streaming down my face. Whether dreams or nightmares, they eventually start to bleed into my waking life. The lines blur as if to say, this cannot end here. And somewhere I know, this has not ended here. Ending 4 perpetuates the cycle. So, Virgilius, what happens if I say no? If I refuse, will it take more innocent people's lives only to prolong your own? You misunderstand. They're not people. Surely you've realized it by now. Here, where darkness reigns and emptiness echoes, we are the only survivors. They're lost to the cycle, Pale One. They drudge on, possessed by something akin to instinct. There's no soul left within. I find myself at a loss of words. I cannot deny that I've thought the same he has, but it isn't right to reduce humans to nothing so easily. How can we know what goes on in their minds? How can you be so sure? Is it not mere arrogance to put yourself above everyone else like that? I am entirely certain. Pale One, if you have walked through the same streets, come across the same huts, then we both bear witness to that fact. But it's just like you to still think of them as humans, as beings that still have hopes and dreams. I'm glad to see you still have that infectious optimism. It warms my heart. Good morning, dear Pale One. I hope you slept well. Will you offer me your blood today? Why do you want my blood? I could tell you the answer, but you would not believe me. You never do. I promise to believe you. Then I promise to believe you. That's not an easy promise to keep. Tell me, Pale One, would you want to save the city if we could? To put an end to the endless night? If we could bring things back to how they were, then surely that would be better. But they've tried so many things. It's nigh impossible to solve a problem if we don't know the cause. I'm taken aback as he laughs almost mockingly, though there's no amusement in his eyes. You know of the cause? Ah, yes, of course. Of course I would have known it, because I am the cause. This is my dreadful curse, Pale One. It's only saving grace the way it binds me to you. He glances out the window towards the red moon. You did promise to believe me this time. Please, help me understand you. Help me understand this curse. He closes his eyes and takes a moment to think of what to say, then looks at me with conviction. The flow of time is distorted in this place, which is why we cannot leave. We live in a pocket of the world governed by its own laws. Time folds and loops in on itself over and over again. It's not something the human mind was made to bear. With every passing recurrence, another loses their identity completely. I am the one who is forced to remember it all, not allowed the luxury of forgetting. I am but a prisoner of my own memories. What he's saying is hard to swallow. It's a lot, and I don't know how any of it can make sense, but I am determined to keep my promise. I've seen what he describes. No one is themselves anymore. Perhaps they're nothing more than husks after all. So you've lived through all this, only to see the world move further and further from its proper state. He gives a curt nod. I would like to believe things do get better, that this city will be safe one day, but that hope is becoming increasingly difficult to hold on to. The more I ponder it, the more it feels like a lost cause. I mean, what is the point in dousing a house that has already turned to ash? Even if we were to lift this curse, what is left to rise from its shadow? But you're the only constant. A pure soul is enough to withstand the weight of time piling up. His soft smile takes on a different meaning to me now. He must have lived in the loneliest of worlds. If all he lives through isn't real to anyone else, then how could anyone else feel real to him? I've tried to approach you countless times, but somehow we are fated to end each other. Then time rearranges without a care, and I am the only one who remembers what we've been through. In recent cycles, I have kept my distance, for it hurts more to be with you than to simply watch from afar. That way, I thought, I could be content seeing you about your day, seeing you alive and untainted by my deeds. And me, I'm nothing but a shadow of the man I once was. I too have lost myself, though not like the others. Their fate might be merciful compared to mine. The fiendish lust for blood is only intensified and makes me ashamed of myself. I grasp his shaking hand in mine, overcome with the desire to ease his suffering. Who would have ever make up such a story like this? Why only tell me now? I'm holding on to my promise in the deepest recesses of my heart, and that means discarding any doubt. Have you told this many times before? It must not be easy to stay kind and patient when all your actions are brought to naught time and time again, and no one remembers any of it the next day. I've tried to tell you many a time, but without the right lead-up, it is doomed to fail. You might run from me or retaliate in violence. Sometimes you make fun of me, other times you grow frightened. I've seen almost every face you can make, but this kind of occurrence is rare. You're looking at me with kindness. It is, in many ways, my greatest relief. But it's not new. It has happened before, a handful of times. Those loops are the most painful. I grow attached to you only to lose you. That fated loss has not been overturned. So this time too, I'll resist the temptation to hope. My fingers trace the lines of his palm as he spoke. He does not stir, so he must not mind it. All I can do is listen in awe and hope that my warmth reaches him. But I am being unfair. I'm only manipulating you by telling you one side of this tale. Pale one, my dearest, inside of me, another impulse tugs at my sanity. I can feel that unwavering need crawling under my skin, begging to be sated. I wish not only to have you for myself, more than anything, I wish to ruin you. Knowing our inevitable final destination, why not let me be merciful and end you myself, knowing that it is out of love? Seeing you twist up in contorted pain, or letting you submit to the wiles of something primal and terrible, crushing the one good thing left in this miserable nightmare. I know that this is all temporary, so why bother with decency anymore? Nothing means anything and shame ceases to exist. It is no more real than a fairy tale to anyone but me. My downfall is mine alone to witness. As he speaks, he grips my hand tightly. His nails dig into my skin, but not enough to draw blood. I call your bluff. You're testing me. You try to scare me off before you find yourself actually caring again. None of this is a bluff, dear Pale One. It is all true. If you could see the fates I put you through, recall the things I have made you feel, you would not want me anywhere near you. You would loathe me. You're holding back even now, aren't you? Otherwise, you have forcefully taken my blood. Your dedication is admirable. And if it matters to you so much, show me those fates then. I want to remember. If we're the only ones who will live through this tragedy, then I want to be there for all of it. My beautiful, innocent, pale one. Why, I've yet to answer your question. In order to end this cycle of terror, I need your blood, for only yours can purify my curse. I've tried taking it forcefully, but it never works. You lose your purity. Indeed, you must offer me your blood without coercion, in faith and innocence. Then, and only then, will the curse lift and the eternal night end, and everything will return to how it once was. I am afraid I cannot answer that, as I've never gotten to that point. We would have to wait and see. However, I do not believe the damage wrought can be undone. Those whose minds have been ground to dust will likely collapse physically as well. In fact, I do not know the effects of introducing a regular flow of time to those who have been close in a loop for so long. Then isn't it dangerous? What about you? Or me? A vampire cannot live to face the sun, right? What kind of life would you even lead? Would you believe me if I said I hadn't thought about it? This whole time, I've been working towards an empty goal. I do not know what lies beyond it, but I have nothing else but to try. It's not the right way for anyone to live. There has to be some point to all this madness. How do you even know that this is the only solution? He told me. The one who orchestrated this ordeal. Before he left, he told me that you were the key to all this. I didn't understand the significance of it at the time. In fact, I didn't even realize what had happened. And here I thought that this was all your fault. Heh. He laughs humorlessly again. But I am a villain all the same. Aren't you playing right into his hands by following his command? Don't you want to defy the one who took everything from you? Ah, I know that expression. It's one I used to wear. Of course, by the time I realized the inescapable gravity of my fate, I was furious. My rage was an unquenchable flame. But time dulls all senses, and there is no direction for this feeling. I took it out on you many times, but that only made me feel worse with each passing loop. Of course, who knows how long it has been for him? Perhaps he himself can no longer track the feelings of someone who might as well be an outsider hearing this for the first time, can't even begin to compare. I don't think it's right, any of this. His acceptance of his role as some great evil is saddening. I won't have it. But what can we begin to do? I couldn't possibly care about lifting the city's burden. Now that I've told you all this, it might be enough for me. It feels like some weight has been lifted off my shoulders. You truly are skilled at keeping your promises. It is but one of my many talents. Surely, through all this time, you must have seen them in action. For example, fearlessly going through with plans anyone else would have deemed too absurd to attempt. Such as ending up on my doorstep without having spoken a single word to me before. Maybe. What on earth were your intentions? Don't make fun of me. How could I ever? I came to confess my love. You don't leave me speechless too often anymore. It'll be quite a shame when I have to part from you this time. Who says we have to? Oh? You will grace us with even more absurd plans. We can be tied together for all of eternity by forgetting about this tragedy and denying the mastermind the payoff he's waiting for. I pull him towards me, and with my mouth close to his ear, I speak in a hushed voice. I know of the tales they tell. For once, we can make this red plague our blessing. Let me have your blood instead, to become what you are, and stay here, by your side, forever. You don't know what you're saying. You would throw away everything for me? That is what I came here to do in the first place. In fact, what do you believe I'm throwing away? There's nothing here, nothing left, not for me, nor for you. I've tried to take control of my destiny many times. I've kept my distance in hopes it will afford you peace. I have lost hope entirely. But suppose I've never tried submitting to your will. What do we stand to lose? Less than we stand to gain. The sensation of sinking your teeth into someone else's neck is a strange... Wait, I'm a vampire too? What? It takes a lot of determination to pierce the skin, to muster the courage to follow through. I have never been one to hurt others, but I know this pain I inflict is entirely desired, and based on his reaction, I dare say it is somewhat pleasurable. It makes me happy. Never knew how good it would feel. The taste of his blood is nostalgic. Virgilius. Huh? Will you be mine? Always was, dear pale one. Always was. Ending 5. Embracing the night. Okay, this time I'm gonna panic. I don't know what you're on about. I cannot deny that these portraits do bear some resemblance to me, but we haven't met, and I've certainly not set for any portraits. No. Just when I thought that things have changed. What was it this time? Was it something I'd said? It's useless, isn't it? Why must you torment me like this? The light I saw in him left his eyes completely in that moment. A cold shell remained, leaving me to wonder which one was the real him. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I have to leave. I take a step back towards the front door, but he grips my wrist with a terrifying strength. I'm afraid I can't let you do that. I glance at his stoic face with bewilderment. Why was his expression so dead? I can't understand any of this. His eyes, how hollow they seem now, all light extinguished. It pains me to see him, but as he tightens his hold on my wrist, I snap back to the situation at hand. I try to pull my arm from his grip, but simply won't move. I keep pulling with what strength I have, but it won't move at all. So what do you want with me? Look at me with those eyes again, and things can go back to normal. Please, my dearest moon, look at me! I know what he wants now, but I'm terrified. How can my eyes fill with love when he has lost the very thing that pulled me in? I pull my arm with all my strength. Give up. I'm pulling it. Give up. Pulling it. Give up. Fine, I'll smile at him. I muster my best attempt at a smile, but it feels lopsided and wrong at best. An absolutely joyless laughter resonates throughout the hallway. Pathetic. Absolutely pitiful, really. As suddenly as it appeared, his smile recedes from his features to reveal an almost fragile expression. Oh, my dearest pale one, how I squandered this chance. Next time I'll do better. I promise. Alas, until then, whenever and however that may be. Without warning, he knocks me out. There's no way to know how much time has passed once I regain consciousness. I slowly open my eyes and a wave of panic washes over me as I realize I'm tied to a chair. That's when I notice him sitting across from me, his expression hidden behind his easel. I try screaming, begging, bargaining, anything that could get him to listen, but he no longer looks at me. He simply stares off into some impossibly far distance, somewhere I can't reach, and probably somewhere he can't reach either. As he looks through me, he paints my form as though possessed. With each erratic stroke, he transposes a piece of me from reality into his canvas, and once he's done, there'll be nothing left of me. Ending 1. Answer your own question. Well, frick. Okay, this time I'm not gonna ask about the portraits. I don't want to pry into his affairs. Everyone in the city has a past, and it's rarely something enjoyable to talk about. There's none whom the Red Plague hasn't affected. The eternal night fell on all of us, and as much as anyone might try to deny it, it took something from us. We'll make do with what we have. It's not up to me to open up those wounds again. Besides, I am a guest. It would be rude of me to pester him with intrusive questions when we've only just been properly acquainted. I'd have expected a measure of the size of servants sweeping the floors or conversing in hushed whispers as they pass through the hallways. However, I don't see a single soul as he guides me to the drawing room, only accompaniment the echoed sounds of our footsteps. The more I see of his residence, the more I'm reminded of a ruin, a tomb, where some nobleman lies buried beneath piles of luxuries he no longer is used for. A deep sense of loneliness seeps out of every wall, threatening to suffocate me. I wonder how he feels, wandering through these hallways all alone. Here we are, and we're skipping ahead, by the way. I'm gonna confess my love! Perhaps against my better judgment, I mustered up the courage to get the words out of my mouth. I'm about to say something insolent and rash, and we're gonna skip ahead what we've already said. Apparently, confessing our love here after we don't say anything about a portrait does lead to a different ending. Truly, you mean it. The anomaly I've been waiting for is finally here. When I pick up my teacup to calm my quaking nerves, he leaps up from his seat. Wait, don't drink that! He knocks the teacup out of my hand, shattering it onto the floor. Yeah! One of the shards embeds itself into my wrist, and bright red blood wells up. What has gotten into him? I flinch as I pull the porcelain shards out of my wound, and in the blink of an eye, he is beside me. Very close beside me. He takes no heed of the teacup's remains or its contents spilt on the floor, his gaze fixed entirely on the cut. His lips press against my wound as if driven by an overwhelming compulsion. What? Stop it! What are you doing? Don't resist. I shudder as he runs his tongue along the blood trailing down my hand, his eyes locking onto mine. You said yourself, you feel this bond between us as well as I do. So allow me. Then his fangs penetrate my skin deeper than the porcelain shard ever did. Tear pricks at the corner of my eyes as pain radiates from my wrist. But why? Why am I crying? Isn't this what I wanted? Ow! Stop! It hurts! I just can't help it. Goodness, why did you have to go and hurt yourself? Don't worry, I'll make it feel good soon. An unprecedented and exhilarating pleasure soon starts to mix into the pain surging through me. Heat rises to my cheeks and I cannot find the strength nor the will to stop him. Such a feeling must be unnatural. Then why? Why am I not stopping him? Pale one, stay by my side. I'm frozen in place as he moves on top of me, sinking his fangs into my neck and alternating his bites with the gentlest of kisses in the same spots. Tears pull in my eyes and blurs my vision. They flow uncontrollably. I can no longer tell if they are of sorrow or bliss. This intoxicating feeling fills up every corner of my mind, overwhelming my senses until I cannot even think straight. There's so much blood. If this goes on, then I'll... Stop! I can't even muster words, and he seems too enraptured to notice, lapping up what blood he can. As said, an observer in my own body, I lay motionless until even my heartbeat stills. Dearest? Pale one, you... No, answer me! No! Wait! Oh, why? What have I done? This dreaded curse. Ending 2. Unhappy accident. Or is it? Restart the game to unlock another loop. Finally, true ending! Good day. Can I help you? I don't believe we've met. Please, come in. It is quite chilly out there. I can prepare some tea to warm you up. That sounds... Wait. That cannot be true. I do know him. His name is Virgilius. Virgilius de Lanceroy. I clutch my head and wince. In the midst of the pain, I can feel something tugging at the recesses of my mind, forcing distant, unfamiliar scenes back to the surface. This eternal night exists because we cannot fulfill our roles without one another. You understand, don't you? Your purity is mine, and mine alone to corrupt. Corrupt me then. I won't protest. I'll make sure to savor it slowly. Excuse me, are you alright? I'm fine! I've tried to take control of my destiny many times. I've kept my distance in hopes it will afford you peace. I've lost hope entirely. But I suppose I've never tried submitting to your will. But what do we stand to lose? Less than we stand to gain. You seem unwell. Please, come in and have a seat. Might I offer you some tea? The memories flood into my mind as I sit down on this now familiar sofa. I can't hold back my tears. He comes in with his platter of tea. I know that tea so well. I wonder if he has laced it with aphrodisiacs this time. Wait! So it wasn't something to put me to sleep. It was an aphrodisiac. Oh my god, Virgilius! If it's alright for me to pry, Will you tell me what's on your mind? I carelessly wiped my tears with my sleeve. Ah, what an unsightly display. Though I suppose you've already seen me worse than this. Virgilius, my fated one. Have I told you my name? No, you haven't. Not this time, at least. An inaudible gas escapes his lips. He drops everything he is holding, struggling to keep himself upright. He stumbles towards me and grabs my shoulders, the light within his eyes brighter than ever. Pale one, is it really true? Shh. I put my finger to his mouth. My name is Lion. He kisses my finger, still pressed to his lip. Lion, I've decided it does not matter whose will we follow inadvertently. We deserve to carve out our own happiness. I'm going to have faith in the future. We can break out of this cage. You may have grown indifferent, but I cannot forgive the one who did this to us. Let's travel beyond this night, beyond the city. I want to laugh in the face of evil and give back all that we received. And after we have put things right, I believe we can find a place for us to belong. I extend my hand towards him. Will you join me? Oh, I do want to see the look on his face. This must have been outside the scope of his machinations. Lion, I cannot promise you normalcy. I cannot promise you anything at all. I do not have the same faith you have. The damage has already been done. I'm not the man I used to be, and I will never be him again. Of course, the promises are my talent. Let me have my niche. Come on, how long do I have to stand here like this? He finally grasps my hand in both of his. I'll follow your lead then, Lion. It won't be easy, you know. There's no going back. If you agree to it now, I won't let you change your mind later. His soft hand reaches towards my face, tipping up my chin to allow our eyes to meet. Lion, might I have your blood? With pleasure. Aww. I don't know what I expected. It wasn't the gentle warmth of his lips upon mine. He kisses me softly, almost certainly at first. Then he bites into my lip, and that familiar hot red rush washes over me more sweetly than ever before. A paroxysm, 1,000 timelines in their waiting. We will meet a new morning, a morning that is truly ours. The future is an uncertain and terrifying place. We grow comfortable with our inevitable misery more easily than we would like to admit. Sometimes, the devil you know is better than even the ray of light you don't. Darkness cannot comprehend light, and despair cannot comprehend hope. To break the cycle, we need to jump that chasm, even when we cannot see the other side. At the end of the eternal night, what awaits us? I do not know. I can't wait to find out. Well, that was Duskbound. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want to play this game for yourself, link to the game will be in the description below. I believe this was released for this year's Otome Jam. I will be playing more games from the Otome Jam this year, of course, considering like a lot of you have been asking me to check those out. So hey, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of the day. And as always, I'll be seeing you in the next video. This is Lion, signing off. Ciao.